Well, hello everybody. I am live. This is a new setup for everybody. 1 second, I am checking out Facebook and I'm going to make a post that we are up and live. So 1 moment. Edit. So you are going to get me on camera. Well, hold on. Let me make this post. Is it on the channel? It's not on the channel. It was never on the channel. Okay, apply that, and we should be good to go. Actually, let me... Alright, there we go. Oh, this is totally not what you want to see. Let's see if this will work a little better. Okay, I've got the chat covered. Alright, Facebook. We are live... No. Why doesn't it ever put... No. We are live streaming. Hopefully that will work. Just gonna double check that it does. Looks like it does. Okay. Looks good. Okay, so I wanted to get into a little bit of question and answer. And just wanted to talk a little bit about live streaming and kind of my situation, my thoughts on live streaming. I am not terribly happy, and I've mentioned this a couple times in the last week. I'm not terribly happy with the play a few games on stream, and that's my live stream. When I went to the Daily League, the original plan was to actually do something of a newscast, something where I'm going to talk about, you know, here's the big news in League of Legends today, or gaming generally, or whatever generally. And then it never really panned out that way because it's quite a bit to get prepared every day, but that is still that's something I actually want to get back to doing, possibly. Yeah, and there's just a few things with the live streaming. Like, I do enjoy playing with the subscribers. That is a high point. But obviously that brings with it its own problems in terms of, yeah, it brings in, I don't know how to put this. Well, you guys know what it is. We're playing a 5 group against another 5 group, but like however many subscribers we have in, we can't communicate with you easily doing that. And so that can be a little frustrating, and then I don't like switching champions up quite as much as I do. But I know you guys love that I switch champions up. Like, you always request that I do this, switch over to a different role, do whatever. But I tend to prefer specific champions at specific times, so I tend to want to play the ranged AD carry and never really enjoy it as much when I don't. But anyway, it's not really about the games as much as I feel like I can be doing better with the amount of time that I invest in it, that I can make a better product for people. And even with the subscriber games, we're only talking about like 100 or 200 people that actually want to actively, regularly get into games. And some of them get in repeatedly, while some never really get that chance to get in. And that becomes kind of a... You know, we want to make sure that people haven't been in before, but we also have to keep track of everybody. That can be a little bit, I don't know. Yeah, it can be a little bit discouraging to only be doing this for like 100 or 200 people. And I know a lot of you watch this after the fact, but what I want to do is provide a better video for the people who watch it after the fact, because that's where the thousands and thousands of views are coming in. And frankly, the numbers on the Daily League are not anywhere near the numbers on any other video I put out. I mean, occasionally I'll get that spike, like I did with Darius. I got like 14,000 views, but pretty much any other video I put out right now is going to get a base minimum of 10,000, where the Daily Leagues are going to get about 5,000. So I need to make a better product in that regard. So anyway, before I go any further, let me go ahead and jump into... There's going to be questions and answers, but I do have a little bit to talk about first. Contest. In fact, I actually haven't set up a contest, but this was an idea that a good friend Kevin gave me. We're going to give away a copy of Learn the League, and I will actually, let's make that a 24-hour contest. So let me make a quick Facebook post. Sorry if I'm not looking at all towards the camera at this time, because this is way over here. Respond here for a chance to win a free copy of Learn the League. There you go, and this will be on my Facebook, which is facebook.com/ciderbook. And post. So anyway, this will be a 24-hour contest, and I think I'll do these a little more frequently. Another big thing about Learn the League. So Learn the League is a book that I wrote about 2 months ago at this point. It's been updated 5 times at this point, but I want to get another big update in soon. So kind of on that note, on the note of getting a big update in, if you currently own the book, I would love it if you guys sent me if you currently own a book, in the back end, you should have contact information for me. Send me what you want to see added to this book. If I get a lot of small suggestions and they're all pretty good, then I'll add in a lot of small things. If I get I really want to see this whole big section added, and I get multiple requests for some huge big section, that's what I'll work on next. So I want to make sure that the product is good for you guys. And I know we're looking at a couple other things, potentially getting private forums set up for the people who own the book, learntheleague.com, but we want to learntheleague.com. Let me enunciate that a little bit better. We want to make sure that it's kind of a better product for you guys. So anyway, do I have anything big to talk about? Yeah, looking at setting up the forums, not really. Here's a picture of me with my son. So my son is not on camera. At some point, he probably will be, but my wife is putting him to bed right now. So there's a picture of my son looking up at me, heartbreaking. Well, not heartbreaking, heartwarming. So yeah, I just found that picture on my desktop because I don't think I've ever showed this picture before. So I happen to like that one. So anyway, my wife is putting him to bed right now. Let's see, which one is this? Go ahead and disable that again. All right. So questions and answers. I've already had a couple questions here. Matt Spencer, this is on Facebook. So people who ask on Facebook, I'm going to respond to them first here. What is your opinion on Fiddlesticks? I feel that it can be a great mid and a great jungle, and if played smartly, any thoughts? My opinion on Fiddlesticks. By the way, the question and answer you can ask about anything at all. This is not going to be just about League of Legends. If I have decent knowledge of a subject or opinions to share on a subject, I will happily respond to it. So it can be about, I don't know, Diablo. It can be about gaming generally. It can be about game design. It can be about MMOs or anything that I've done in the past. It can be really just about anything you want, self-employment. I know I've talked about that in the past, video production, anything like that. So feel free to ask whatever. It doesn't have to be about League of Legends. In fact, if it's too much about League of Legends, it'll be pretty tough for me to respond to everything. So anyway, what is my opinion on Fiddlesticks? I feel that it can be a great mid and a great jungle if played smartly. He's a decent counter pick, but he is a relatively weak champion. I barely ever see him picked. Now, the problem with Fiddlesticks, in my opinion, the reason I don't think he's an amazing champion, is that he is very position dependent. He's very much dependent on getting in unexpectedly. That works against players who don't ward, which it's really, how to put this? We don't ward every game we play. Sometimes we just don't play very seriously. It's just how we play, right? A lot of people are probably the same way. Sometimes when you're playing really seriously, you go out of your way to ward all the time. Sometimes you don't. But with Fiddlesticks, it feels like you are so much relying on that hit or miss of, is the enemy team actually going to actively ward? Are you going to be able to surprise them with your ultimate? But that said, he can be a decent counter pick when he actually counters the person in lane. He does deal quite a bit of damage. Obviously, he's got the Morgana. You can get in there, deal your damage with ultimate while you've got Zhonya's up, and you can be pretty powerful doing that. So that's something certainly to keep in mind. Let's see. So next question I have in here is going to be from Daniel Meyer. Whatever happened to Little Nocturne? Little Nocturne was our kitten. He was a black... Well, he was a black Bombay kitten. I've got a video up of him playing with my son, and it is hilarious. Yeah, and anyway, what we had to do, because we moved recently, we moved to a new place. So we moved from Tacoma, which is in Washington, and we moved up to North Bend, which is also in Washington, but it's a little bit more directly, I want to say it's directly northeast of Tacoma, about an hour out. There's a highway that actually goes straight through, I don't know, Highway 18. The people who live in Washington know what I'm talking about, and everyone else around the world don't, but I know quite a few of you do live in Washington who watch this stream. So anyway, we moved, and and we were renting at the previous place, we're renting at the new place. We were going to pay a double pet fee, $500 each, plus at the new place, we were going to be charged monthly to have the kitten, which to me is insane. We're going to actually have a higher rent from a month-to-month basis because of a kitten. I don't know. It was an expensive move. It was an expensive everything, but that's kind of the... What? Oh, the video monitor. Okay. There you go. Okay. So anyway, we couldn't keep the kitten. We did give it away to a nice family that lived over in Gig Harbor. Again, that's kind of a local thing. Gave it to a nice family. They love him. We heard good things, but we just couldn't keep him. It was just too expensive. And unfortunately, that's kind of the practical decision of, I don't know, not being so wealthy that you can not have to make those decisions. Anyway, so there is no more little Nocturne, although he is living a happy life, making a family of people happy, and that's good. Ricky Down, so this is from the chat earlier. So Cider, I saw your post in the forums recently about Darius. Based on the post, how do you feel about him? Yeah, I feel the same way. I responded to this already in chat, but I'm responding again because I think it's going to be brought up. I feel the same way about Darius that I felt about him a few days ago. And I said this on stream yesterday. I feel that he's not a good influence in the game. I feel that basically what he is he's not enjoyable to play with because you lose so many kills, because if Darius is any good, he's picking up a bunch of your kills. And I'm not talking about kills, it's not like kill secured, it's like kills that you are absolutely guaranteed to get that they take. Now that's okay once in a while. We just say kill secured, that's our little joke, right? Not even a joke, it's just don't worry about it. But when you do that every single time there's an engagement, it gets frustrating, and it gets even worse when you're like an AP carrier in ranged AD, and you're actually actively losing gold in team fights. Like say you're leaving the lane to farm, so you're getting CS in the lane, you're getting gold in the lane by killing minions. And then you leave the lane to join a team fight, and then you never pick up kills in the team fights, or if you do, it's rare. If that happens over and over and over again, what you wind up with is carries, range carries, who cannot compete in a match. And so you can wind up with this Darius with an amazing score, but you still lose the game. So I think he's not as stark as I make it out to be, because it can be fun to play with him, and it can be fun to win games quickly. But yeah, I don't think he's a good influence on the game. He really reminds me a lot of like a Heroes of Newerth, Dota 2 champion, or hero, as it were. He really reminds me of them, and that's kind of a problem because, how to put this? Somebody else put it pretty well. When he has a stronger ult, when a League of Legends champion has a stronger ultimate than an equivalent in Dota 2, so in this case it's Axe in Dota 2, who has an execute ultimate. When a hero in League of Legends has a stronger ultimate, you know there's a problem. I think I saw that over on Reddit, and it's completely true. Because usually in Dota 2, in Han, you have crazy damage output. You have crazy abilities that are way over the top that would not work in League of Legends. League of Legends is more of a sustained, over time fighting game. Heroes of Newerth, I played a lot of Heroes of Newerth, and yeah, that's more of a whoever uses their abilities the most quickly in the best and smartest way, just a team fight can be decided in seconds. And that's harder to do with like one champion in League of Legends, and that's by design. So Darius is kind of crazy in that sense. Okay. Cody the Sinner, this is the next question. Hey Cider, I recently saw your Olaf jungle game and it interested me into getting Olaf. What is the best thing I can do first to become a good Olaf? It depends on whether you're playing solo top or whether you're playing jungle Olaf. Now, I play almost exclusively jungle Olaf because that's how I've always played him, and I really enjoy him that way. But I tend to play, if I'm given the choice between playing top or playing jungle, I tend to go with jungle. I feel like I have a little bit of a stronger impact on the game, the outcome of the game, and I also feel like I know it and I'm more familiar with it than I am with solo top. I talk about that quite a bit in the streams, but I can get into that. But anyway, with Olaf, the main thing that you have to understand, if you are going top, you are going to need to get used to exchanges, need to get used to how to use your your E, which is your, what is it, reckless swing, it's the true damage, need to really get an understanding of the champions you're going against and how they fare. You know, which ones are you really going to be able to kill, or really going to be able to harass out of lane. Get used to when people are coming into last hit so you can exchange with them right then. If you're playing jungle, everything as a jungler, and this is true for laning Olaf too, but as a jungler, every single thing comes down to how you use your Q, which is your axe throw. Your axe throw is, let's see, you throw it, you pick it back up, and it's almost off cooldown, and if you have any kind of cooldown reduction, it's off cooldown basically instantly. It deals quite a bit of damage. It allows you to clear minions or clear monsters both very, very quickly. It's also your slow. Hold on, I'm gonna... Yeah, it's also your slow. It's required for ganking. Everything with Olaf comes down to you have got to be able to use your Q effectively. So what would I say on top of that? Get used to smart casting. Smart casting is not absolutely necessary, but get used to smart casting. If you can and you're comfortable enough with it, get used to the range on Q, get used to not overthrowing Q, because it is range selectable. You don't just throw it at... Yeah, you don't just throw it at a location that goes max distance. You throw it at a location that only goes that distance. So as you get more used to it, sometimes you'll undershoot it, and you really just want to get good with it. So Olaf, everything is to do with Q. You can play a decent Olaf without being great with his Q, but really you should be doing a top lane Olaf if you're doing that. Which is not to say, well, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. Okay, so... let me actually see if I can find some questions, because I have just gone with the questions that were written before this. So let me see. Oh, I gotta go way down here, don't I? Okay, do you, Ciderhelm, think Trinda is broken basically for ranked and can be effective occasionally in blind pick? I believe they did an awful job by nerfing his defenses since he cannot build defenses. Tryndamere is really, really good, and he's just a good champion. He can be countered, but it's a little bit like Darius. You have to put an effort into countering him. Yeah, he's not over-nerfed, and he's still effective. But you're not going to win every game with him against a good team. And that's a good place to be for a champion, because... I don't know, he still does a lot of damage. He's still really dangerous late game. If you really shut him down, yeah, whatever. But you don't need to build too defensive on him. You just need to be able to counter the crowd controls. So if that comes down to QSS, Quicksilver Sash, if that comes down to Cleanse, yeah, sure, that's good. But that's it, right? Because your ultimate really does give you so much power, especially late game, especially once you've got that damage output. Okay, let's see. Oh, unfortunately, this is going to keep refreshing, so I'm going to start missing some comments. Let's see if I can avoid this. Why does it never appear in your sub box anymore? I have no idea. I wish I did. Let's see. Have you ever thought about getting a Mumble server? Yes, and I think Splug actually mentioned that. Your sound seems to be out of sync with your face cam. I don't know why that is. Let's see. Where are you? Subsider, been a fan back to tank spot, and I have to ask, what do you think about how broken stealth champs are right now? Those being Eve, Twitch, etc. Well, okay. Twitch is still decently good, right? And a good player with Twitch can still perform amazingly. A good player with Eve can perform amazingly if the other team screws up, if the other team is not as skilled, if the other team doesn't know how to counter Eve. Eve is actually broken. Like, Eve is just flat out bad. And there's no justification for it other than, well, Riot's justification, they nerfed her. They know they've over-nerfed her. If you're not familiar with Eve right now, the main thing with Eve is that she was purposely nerfed as hard as they could get away with. They left her in the game because some people still really like to play her. But she was actually purposely nerfed into being a very bad champion. So a lot of people tend to say, like, is Eve just bad or whatever, and, you know, no champions can really be that bad. Eve actually really is that bad. Again, there are some games where a really good Eve player can pull off some stuff, but you never want an Eve on your team. And you usually are okay with an Eve being on the enemy team. Let's see. But I mean, I've still lost a game against an Eve in the last couple months, so. Alright, how are we going? How far? Oh no, I gotta figure this out. How I'm gonna handle the comments here. Okay, Trindamir. Do you need special hardware for the stream? No, that's special hardware for the stream. Let me enunciate that. Let's see. Mumble server, already got that. Why does the stream never appear in my sub box? I wish I knew. I don't understand what's going on there. Okay, let's see. Heart melting. He's beautiful. You're talking about my baby boy. I appreciate that. Do I think that Heimerdinger is a good AP carry? I think Heimerdinger is a very specific champion. He's all about zone control. He's a very, very good pusher. Do I think he's a good AP carry? No, but I could be. I don't really want to like make a claim on that because I just have not seen a Heimerdinger, I think, in months. So I don't want to like tell you guys something and then wind up finding out that pro players still use Heimerdinger. So yeah. Can you meet Logan? No, you cannot because he is asleep. Let's see. What are your opinions on the current mobility creep in League and what champions who don't have mobility that are released, aka Darius, are grossly OP in certain areas? So, okay, so I'm going to lose where I am here. That's okay. So what do you think of the current mobility creep in League and champs who don't have mobility that are released, also known as Darius, and how they're grossly overpowered in certain areas? What that's referring to, I don't remember the exact statistic, but it's something like 50% of the champions that have been released in the last year or 2 years have some sort of gap closer or significant move speed buff or anything else that actually lets them cover ground very, very quickly. It's a very high number of champions, and the League of Legends did not used to be that way. I don't like it, primarily because it leaves so many previous champions in this horrible position. Ashe, Misfortune. Well, okay, I play a lot of range AD, so Ashe, Misfortune come to mind as champions that have a real problem with being unable to handle champions that have all these gap closers without their team significantly coming to their, to their aid. With Ashe a long time ago, it used to be like the big thing that a good Ashe can do is kite, and a good Ashe can still kite, but there are a lot of champions a good Ashe can no longer kite. So you take out that element of being able to get away because just so many champions have so many ways of getting to you, and the champions without that are really just in a rough situation. So Varus released, and Varus is kind of obnoxious to me. This is going to be a longer answer than I thought, but Varus was kind of obnoxious to me because the developers basically said, well, knowing how to position like you do on Ashe, knowing how to position like Kog'Maw is another example, Kog'Maw or Misfortune or whatever, that is its own high skill requirement. And it's not so much high skill requirement. I mean, it is. You want to learn how to position. You want to learn how to be really good at positioning. And that is its own like huge game development thing. In terms of like, if you want to become a better player, learning how to position really well is just a huge skill to learn. But when you put a champion in and you say they're high skill cap because they don't have a gap closer, they don't have movement speed, whatever, like they did with Varus. I'm not referring to Darius, I'm referring to Varus, and then I'll get to Darius. That's kind of obnoxious because it's saying like, well, we just changed the entire way the game is played, so the way we're going to release this champion to make it a harder champion for you to play is to make it like one of the vanilla champions. Anyway, I'm not really a big fan, but I don't know. My problem isn't mobility. My problem isn't gap closers, all that stuff. My problem is that there's such a huge disparity between those older champions who just have nothing in that regard, and how they can get really shut down by all the champions that are releasing that do, if their teammates are not on top of protecting them, such as carries. I think Brand suffers to a degree in that regard because he does not have an escape other than his, EQ combo, and that's only a one-person escape, right? What else is there? So, anyway, as far as Darius is kind of the same thing. Like, Darius is going to get completely shut down and screwed. Darius is going to get completely shut down and screwed by teams that are highly mobile, that know what they're doing, or if they even have things like, it's kind of like Volibear, Singed, Rammus, what's the other one? Darius, no, not Hecarim. Not Hecarim at all. Trying to think. I know there's one other just on the tip of my tongue that's like Volibear, Rammus, Singed, that don't have a gap closer. They can get really fast, but they don't have a gap closer. Darius can't even get really fast, but like a Morgana or a Lux or anybody with any kind of CC can easily shut down. Talking about a binding in the case of Morgana and Lux, using a dark or light binding, it's super easy to shut down a Rammus coming at you and just completely nullify them. Rise even easier. Rise is because his is targeted. He doesn't even need to land it on you. You try to get close to him, no matter how fast you are, you're just dead. Not dead, but you just can't initiate. So Darius gets screwed in that same regard, but I mean his pull is pretty good. Darius is just such a strong champion, but yeah, he can be shut down, and then it's not fun to play him at all if he gets shut down, because once he gets in a fight, he's dead. If he cannot get kills, if the fight does not go favorably, he is the one person that is guaranteed to defeat the other team, just because he has no escape mechanism at all. Which is, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. Okay, let's see if I can find the next question here. I'll get to the ones in the League of Legends client in just a minute here. Let's see. I'm a relatively new player to... Wait. Oh, there's so many. I should have thought this out a little bit better. I really should have thought this out a little bit better, because I need to have a better system for handling these questions. Okay, do you think Evening's buff? I saw that one. What are your opinions? Okay, there it is. What champions do you think are imbalanced? Darius? Well, no. I don't know. I'm not going to answer that, because that's just such an open-ended one. I think some champions are strong. In fact, let me see if I can change this up here. Let's see. Pop out. Alright, where are you? And I wonder if I can get this to not update automatically. Okay. I may be able to pull this off. Oh, no, you're not updating. Oh, yes. Okay, hold on. I may be able to get this. I'm going to get some better questions here. Do you think Eve needs buff? Okay, when did you quit Rift and why? I quit Rift in, I want to say around August. That's when I finally made the decision that I just couldn't play anymore. So that's when I quit Rift. Well, it's not that I couldn't play anymore. It's we were having a child. We knew that this was coming, and so that's when I realized that I couldn't finish Hammernell. Hammernell was the second really big tier of raid content in Rift. So... You know, we were in Hammernell. We were doing pretty well. We had like 4 bosses down. We weren't like the top 5 guilds, but we were probably top 20. And I don't remember exactly where we were. But anyway, yeah, we left. I left because I couldn't play an MMO at the same time. So, we were going to have our child. So there you go. That's the... when I quit Rift and why. It's not because Rift is a bad game. Rift was actually a very good game. It was a very good raiding game. I don't know how it's doing now, but I just couldn't keep playing it. Let's see. What do you do for a living? And this is not from the person, as far as I know. This is... Oh, it is. I'll let you figure that out on your own, just because you were spamming all that up. I'm a relatively new player. I love playing AD range and tanking role. Are there any basic tips you can give a growing player? Well, like I said, positioning is huge. Learning positioning. Watch streams. Watch videos. Read general... Well, don't read general discussion. Never read general discussion. Trying to think. I mean... Honestly, that's why I wrote a book. So, www.learntheleague.com. If you're a new player, I suggest you read the book. No, but watch my videos. Learn the League stuff. If you have a champion you want to... learn, see if I've got a don't feed for it up, watch or go to solomid.com, check out any of their guides on any champion you want to learn. Really, okay, so what's your opinion? This is going to be related, so I'm getting into this question here too. Cider, what's your opinion on sites like Mobifire? Okay, so Mobifire, Solo Mid has pretty high quality guides. Yeah, solo mid has pretty high quality guides. If you go there, you're going to find good guides that you can just use, and you can be fairly confident that they'll work. They're not always the best optimized for every situation, but they do work, and that's what's important about it. Mobifier is really hit or miss. Mobifier is like, you will find guides that are Bibles, that are just enormous and well written and just get into every little detail on every little thing about a champion. And it'll just be amazing. The problem is you'll also find guides that are completely awful on Mobifier, and they get rated really high. So you don't know how to filter one from the other, and it's very unfortunate because the Mobifier, some of these people who put in the work into the guides, I've seen some of them that I not only agreed with, I thought, wow, this really needs to be recognized in a huge way. But, you know, if you're the average user on Mobifier, you have no idea. Like, I don't know how to put this. If you're a new player on Mobifier, you're not going to have an idea of what those really good guides are and what those really bad guides are. Which kind of just leads to solo mid. LOL Pro has the best guide layout. IMO. LOL Pro is pretty good. But it's dated. That was my opinion on it, and I could be wrong. I felt it was pretty dated, but it's a pretty good guide layout. I agree. You also don't find as much as you do on solo mid. So... Oh, Yortzy job. Well, I'm sure I just mispronounced. I think Ciderhelm should do a giveaway for a few of his books. I am doing a giveaway. I actually announced this a little bit earlier. I am doing a giveaway. Go to facebook.com/ciderbook. One book in 24 hours. I will give it away to one lucky winner. I don't know how often I'll do it, but I'll probably do it more frequently. So anyway, there you go. Let's see. Let's see if we can go to the next question. As soon as I finish up with these questions, I'm going to jump over to the chat and catch up on those questions. Can you recommend... Why did you quit Rift? What? Why did you quit? When did you quit Rift and why? Wow, enunciation. What do you think about Amumu and teams who don't follow even though you catch approximately 4 to 5 every time? Well, that's a... I mean, what do you think about Amumu? Amumu's an amazing champion. He really is. Now, he suffers a little bit when you have champions like Leona or even Nautilus to a degree. You've got some really good champions out there that have been released since Amumu and have been released since you've got all these gap closes and everything. But Amumu is really good. His ultimate is still really good. His ultimate, I don't know, who don't follow you even though you... Like, you're talking... And teams who don't follow even though you catch approximately 4 to 5 every time. That's just bad teams. It happens all the time. I mean, if you initiate too far away, then it's kind of your fault. If you initiate and you needed to get into a fight, what I started doing with Amumu, what I started doing was actually telling people when I was playing pug games, just saying like 30 seconds and my ult will be up. And that worked really well because then people were expecting me to ultimate like as soon as I got an opportunity. So that little bit of communication actually went a long way when I was playing Amumu last that I did with pugs. So, all right, let's see. Darius, you need to trade hard, then him early. Try not to get hit by Blade when he queues. Yeah, I agree with that. What advice do you give to young programmers? Geez. What advice do you give to young programmers? I don't know. Are you creative? Because that's what it comes down to. If you're creative, then just write programs. I mean, that's what I do. Like, I don't know. I didn't start up as a programmer, so that's kind of a weird question to me. I did technically start up as a programmer like when I was in 2nd grade and I learned BASIC on QBasic. And, yeah. So that was pretty fun, but I don't have any real advice for young programmers other than try things out, do things. That's certainly what I did with like web development stuff. Just keep trying things out, playing with it. You have to have the motivation and the desire to be creative to really enjoy programming, in my opinion. But that said, like I have family who are programmers that, I don't know, not quite as creative. That's putting it how I feel. Cider, why you never played Karma? What do you think about this champ? I haven't seen a Karma in quite a while. I think I saw a Karma like a few weeks ago. But I don't know. Karma's a confusing champion. Like, I kind of vaguely figured out that I'm supposed to walk between her beam. And I vaguely figured out that she brings buffs to my team. And with AP, she can deal a lot of damage. And I figured that out in all of like 3 games I've ever played with Karma. So, what do you think about Shyvana as a top lane as opposed to a counter jungle? Shyvana's a great top lane. Splug frequently plays top lane Shyvana. Hey Cider, I have recently been start jungling for my team. I was just wondering if you could get some tips for ganking. Love the streams. Keep them up. Tips for ganking. Figure out where stuff is warded. If you're really into it and you really want to be good, get timers for when stuff is warded. Like, you see somebody place a ward, you get used to that. And then you say, okay, 3 minutes later, that ward will be down. 3 minutes later is exactly when I want to go in and gank. Literally exactly then. You can get a lot of ganks that way. Sometimes people will ward early. Like, good, attentive players will ward, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, or whatever before their last ward. But, yeah, a lot of times they'll let it expire. So that's a good time to get in. So, anyway, aside from that, jungle ganking, just learn the routes. I mean, there's a number of routes. I'd show you them, but I don't have an easy way of showing you them right now. What's your favorite food? I don't know. I have no idea what my favorite food is. Would you ever do a Don't Feed for Kassadin? At some point, I will. What is your opinion on Kassadin? He's a good champion, but he's like he's better in the mid game, I think, than he is in the late game. But I could be wrong about that. If you were to compare yourself to a pro gamer, who would it be and why? Nobody. Mainly because I don't know. Compare myself to me. Does that count? I say that somewhat facetiously because I am a pro gamer in the sense that I do this professionally. LOL. But no, I wouldn't compare myself to anyone because I don't know any of the pro gamers well enough to actually do that. Okay, I bought up Olaf. I bought up Olaf recently and found that jungling with him constantly leaves him at low health and low mana. In a real match, I know this would get me killed. What is best to do after my first clear? Okay, so the first thing you need to go do is go to Stonewall008 on YouTube and look up his Olaf jungle guide. That'll get you to level 4. Second thing you need to do is change up your runes and your master rates. Third thing you need to do is probably pick up a Vamp Scepter when you start. Olaf is not a champion where okay, if you're really having trouble or you don't have the runes or anything quite yet, like if you're not level 30 yet, pick up armor and health potions, like armor and 5 health potions. Olaf is not a champion that should be running out of health. He is a champion that will run out of mana if you don't have blue buff. He will. If you're wasting your Qs, like I think on the... How do I do this? So I do the 3 wolves and then I do the blue golem. That's how I start the jungle. And doing the 3 wolves, I will use 2 Qs, but I won't use a 3rd Q because the 3rd Q will leave me too low of mana to finish blue easily. So I'll just use 2 Qs on the wolves and then auto attack them to death, and then the blue golem, I'll have enough mana to Q the rest. But I don't know. I mean, you shouldn't be running out of mana. Well, you shouldn't be running out of health, and low mana is only if you gave away the blue buff early. So. Let's see. Cider would like to play solo top champions. Could you tell me some build for solo top champions? Generally, more survivability. Sometimes GP 5, gold per 5 items like Heart of Gold, Philosopher's Stone. Generally, Wriggle's Lantern if you're going to be doing a lot of auto attack trading. But yeah, that's so champion specific. There's not one thing you need to be doing at top lane, but you do need to be a little more survivable. Oh yeah, I'm almost at 1,000 wins. Thank you. So 997 right now. Even though ever thought about playing on the EU service with some subscribers, no. I mean, I have no problem with the EU servers. I just haven't thought about that before, so maybe. Man, this is a long list. You guys are giving me so many questions. How well can weird supports like Karma fit into the meta? Meta is such a weird word. It just depends on who you're going against and how familiar your teammates are with the champion you're playing. Karma's an interesting one because Karma actually does require your teammates actually understand what Karma does. That makes her a problem since she's a rare pick. like I said, I don't actually understand Karma other than some very basic things, like run through the beam. She can make me run faster, but don't run too far away from her. Things like that. Like, I understand, I believe she's got a conal spell. So, I don't know. It's kind of, you want to make sure you're playing a champion, or you're willing to, like, that people understand, or that you're willing to explain to them in very brief terms and not get annoyed with. Cider, how do you render your video in Adobe, or do you use third-party software? I render my videos in Adobe Premiere with the Adobe Media Encoder. So I do everything in Adobe CS 5.5, and that'll be CS 6 later this month, hopefully. We'll see. Not that that's that big of a deal, but yeah, I do everything in Adobe products. Everything. So there you go. Just disable auto updates and refresh the chat when you're done looking at comments and it won't jump to the top. Yes, I did figure that out. Thank you, though, for the suggestion. Is Cat a good AP carry? Yes and no. Cat can be amazing. Cat has a lot of really... Katarina has a lot of really cool tricks she can pull off. Like, I think she can ultimate over a wall when she doesn't, like... I don't know. I haven't tested if you can see her or not when she ultimates out of your vision. But if she like runs over near blue buff, she can actually activate her ult if somebody's doing blue buff on the other side of the wall, and just very unexpectedly pick up a kill, that kind of thing. She's a good champion. I don't think she's amazing tier, but she's very good. So. Cider, how do you feel about WoW after not having played it for a while? I mean, I'm not terribly in love with World of Warcraft, but I haven't been for years, so yeah. My opinion really hasn't changed on it. It's just I played it way too much, and I got way too used to it, to where it wasn't enjoyable outside of raiding, but then the raiding content got kind of stale. But that wasn't just the raiding content that got kind of stale. We also had a high turnover in the guild after all the hard modes in Ulduar. I wasn't in it for handling guild management stuff anymore. What do you think? And then I went and did semi-hardcore raiding in Rift. What do you think about Darius? He's not OP, but I find his awful and doesn't fit in with other league champions. Do you think he'll be removed or have his model modified? Model modified? You can't be talking about his, like, actual character model, can you? Because that would be totally unrelated to the rest of this question. Yeah, I don't think he'll be removed. They might change some stuff. They might not. We'll see. Cider, do you think it is fair how Vayne has an extremely squishy early game to compensate for the insane damage she can put out at late game? Is she the strongest AD carry, in your opinion, damage-wise? No. Kog'Maw and Misfortune. Well, not Misfortune. Misfortune really does kind of fall off later game. She's really good single target. Yeah. No, Vayne's not that strong anymore. She is really good. Her utility is what makes her really good, even late game. But you take somebody like Kog'Maw, and Kog'Maw really is just going to wreck late game. Kog'Maw, and I'm trying to think who's another good one. I think Corki is really, really strong. I know there's at least one more that's just way, way top tier, like above Vayne. But I can't think of them offhand. So, no, I don't think Vayne is overpowered, and I don't think she's extremely squishy early game to compensate for her late game insane damage. And she still has decent early game damage. You got to remember, her Condemn is a really strong opener. Just incredibly strong opener. And I think now that you haven't seen Vayne as much in games in the last, like, ever since the nerf, I think that's going to be, I don't know, I think that's going to be a little easier to pull off on players because they're not familiar with Vayne. Okay. What do you think of the new meta compared to the old, like, Ashe mid or Corki top? Well, I think the new meta makes a lot of sense, but I think it can be countered. But, you know, if you play against the meta, specifically to screw the meta, I think this metagame... Okay, so metagame, for anybody who's not familiar, we're just talking about, like, who goes where. You have support and ranged AD bottom. You have AP caster mid. You have AD caster or bruiser or whatever top. And you have a jungler. So the key is you have those two players at bottom. You have that one player at mid. So you've got 3 players plus a jungler that are always available at Dragon for taking Dragon when Dragon's available. Anyway, the meta is... This one I think is the hardest to counter that has come up so far, because like kill lanes, doing like the kill lane setup where you have two people who are not like an AD carry support setup at bottom, but are instead like entirely dependent on getting kills on enemies. So something like an extreme example like Pantheon and I don't know, Scion? Pantheon Jax. That's an example of a kill lane that you would send bottom lane in the attempts to screw over a support and ranged AD. Or if you take like a Leona or a Lux instead of a Soraka, for instance, that's a little bit of a hybrid kill lane, whatever. But you don't lose as much by doing that as you do by doing two other champions like Jax and Pantheon. If you don't get those kills when you're trying to counter the meta, you are totally screwed. Your team is entirely screwed. If you do get those kills, then whatever, that's good for you. So anyway, yeah, the new meta is, I think, a little safer and a little smarter than the old, but I do like sending ADs mid, so... older champions would need to rework to be brought into competitive form. Nice move, Cider. Opinion on Twisted Fate. What is my opinion on Twisted Fate? He's pretty good, but he's not amazing. I don't know the last time I saw a Twisted Fate that just downright amazed me. Like, no, I don't know. I wouldn't place him top tier. That's for sure. Do you think Lee Sin has been nerfed too hard? Do you think they should buff him again? I have no idea how to answer that, because Lee Sin is still a good champion. Lee Sin can still do amazing things, so I have no idea how to answer that. I can't tell you if he's been nerfed too hard. I think he's one of those champions that's kind of tentative, because if he pulls off that amazing Q combo a couple times in the early game, he gets that gear edge. Once he got first blood, he's got another kill. He gets that gear edge that makes him that powerhouse that he used to be. Now, it's a little harder to do now, but man, I think he's still a good champion. I don't necessarily think he's been nerfed too hard, but I could be wrong. You'd have to ask somebody like Cruiser the Bruiser, who would of course be probably a little biased, but you'd have to ask somebody who really just mains Lee Sin all the time. I think he's still pretty good, but I could be wrong. Would you ever consider a project in which you make a series of videos in which you train someone from the initial stupid mistakes to a better League of Legends player? For example, me. That's a good idea. I have no idea, but that's a good idea. In fact, I'm going to copy-paste that real quick. Hey Cider, some time ago you told us on the stream that you have a game concept that you want to work out. How are you going to pull this off? Just really curious about your plans. I don't know. That's something that I will get into when I've actually got a way to achieve it. I'm just too busy with, well, things like League of Legends right now. I'm just way too busy with it. So I'll talk about it more once I have more to say about it. Let's see. What should I do with Teemo? What should you do with Teemo? I don't know. Drop mushrooms? That's an interesting question. I enjoy playing AP Cog, which is underrated, and constantly am attacked by playing him even though he is more than viable. How can champs that have multiple lane possibilities be balanced for both roles? Well, it doesn't need to be balanced for both roles. Like, you can play Ezreal AP, and you can actually, like, I know there's somebody who got up to 2k elo playing AP Ezreal. You can play Kog'Maw AP. I've seen these champions that can be played AP fairly well, even though they're primarily played as AD. Just if people are, you're saying you're constantly attacked for playing him, even though he is more than viable. Well, if you agree that he's more than viable, and I've seen an AP Kog'Maw played pretty well, I don't know. You're not doing anything wrong. Who cares what other people say? Like, if you're not feeding, that's good. How can champs that have multiple lane possibilities be balanced for both roles? You don't have to balance for both roles because they're doing something fundamentally different in the game. If you go in with AP Ezreal is just going to flatly do something different in the game than AD Ezreal is. They're going to be better against people with low magic resist. They're going to be worse against people with high magic resist. It is what it is. Hello. Well, okay. Stream is alright. YouTube seems to screw things sometimes. My wife was a little nervous to walk past the camera. Caitlyn is an easy carry, safe because of range and damage. I agree. He said, I love your show. Just want to know if there's a way to improve my positioning when playing as an AD carry. Practice, practice, practice. Always assume that somebody's about to kill you anytime you don't have vision. Get used to the champions that have gap closers, which is like all of them. It's not all of them, but it's a lot of them. Really think when you don't see that Nocturne where they could be on the map. Really think when you see that Aurelia near you, what they could do to you if they get to you. Really think about if you have a blink ability, say or if you have a dash or whatever, if you have Tristan and you have a jump, not using your jump to get in, but using it if you need to get out. Same thing with Ezreal, same thing with Graves, same thing with whatever. I mean, Graves is kind of a rough one in terms of it's really good if you use it when you go in too. So yeah, let's see. Hello. Hello. He just woke up, so he might be... Yeah, look at the camera. Oh, that's almost the camera. That... Oh, hey, a microphone. He loves this microphone. Hey. He's really quiet in the morning. Oh, but he loves this mic. I don't know if you guys can see this. Well, of course you guys can see it. I don't know. Yeah. All right, here he is. Okay. Ciderhelm, would you ever consider streaming on Twitch TV? I'd have to. We'll see. We'll see. Speaking of Rise, how do you feel about him? I just get the whole tanky nuker mage. Well, okay, would you ever consider streaming on Twitch TV? I'll actually answer that because I said we'll talk about just about anything here. So I have a contract that I signed in which I agreed to do it with just YouTube. That was actually before Own 3D went... I don't know if Owned is still around or not, but when a lot of their streamers left to Twitch. And so there's just so much over on Twitch now that I kind of feel... awkward about it. I could probably change the contract a little bit. I don't really want to if I'm not committed to... Like, if I haven't totally committed to doing stuff on Twitch, I could probably change the contract. But, you know, right now I'm happy with where things are, so... Oh. Good morning. Oh, now you smile. Huge. How you doing? Hi. I have a big chin, by the way. Well, it's not quite a smile, but he is still... Oh, let's see if I can get him to do it. Hey. Oh, man, okay. Well, normally he'll do it crazy. All right, here we go. Oh, it's only 10 minutes left, and I'm still going through the first set of questions here. Speaking of Rise, how do you feel about him? I just get this whole tanky nuker mage, etc. Yeah, tanky nuker mage that's exactly what he is. How do you feel about Hecarim? Do you think he's too weak or strong? So Hecarim is an amazing initiator, and that's unless they've changed his interaction with spell shields, which I haven't tested since I did the Don't Feed. The thing about Hecarim that probably a lot of people don't know is that his initiates cannot be blocked by spell shields. They flat out cannot, including his ultimate, including his throwback, like his two main initiates, or his knockback rather. That's huge. And I think once people realize that, if they watch the Don't Feed or whatever, you'll start to realize how good of an initiator Hecarim is. Because you can't build against a Hecarim. You cannot build a Banshee's Veil against a Hecarim to block the initiate. And one of the main purposes of Banshee's Veil is to have an anti-initiate item. So, anyway, I think he's pretty good. I think he's got a lot of potential for changing game outcomes. Okay, what are your feelings on Kassadin? Plus, I've never had a problem with Darius's cast as normal. Kassadin, I already answered Kassadin, didn't I? Ashart change. How about Garen? Garen will probably be changed at some point, but Soraka's the next one to be changed. Okay, let's see if I can catch up on some old comments here in here. Eat your vegetables. What? What is this? I gotta go way back, don't I? And this doesn't even go all the way back. How often will you do a Q&A section? Depends on how much you guys like it. Yeah, it depends on how much you guys like it. If this is something you want regularly, this is the kind of content I would prefer to be doing. I gotta say, I'm a little thirsty right now, so hold on. Cider, is going AD per level runes on AD carries better than flat AD damage? No. I don't think so, and here's why. You go flat AD for the extra damage when you're last hitting in the early game. That is the #1 reason. You do not do it because it's going to be better against champions. You don't do it because it's going to be better late game. You don't do it for any other reason than it will help you last hit minions. It will help you be better at getting more gold in the early and mid game. But especially the early game, those first few levels. Now, that's important because that's what sets you up for the entire rest of the game. That's what allows you to get that gear. You know, getting 100 CS, getting 200 CS or whatever, that's what allows you to get that good gear, even early on, so you can get a kill early on in the lane or whatever. First blood, well, probably not first blood if it takes too long. But anyway, yeah, so that's... No. Get flat AD if you're going to get AD. Otherwise, if you want something that's going to scale really well into the late game, get armor penetration. Shinigami, if they don't appear in your sub box, unsubscribe, then resubscribe. That's his suggestion. Littlefoot, Trin is like Dairy. Oh, that's not a question at all. Cider, any tips for making more of a difference in the game as support? Do better at warding. Well, okay. The support's interesting, and I've learned a lot more about support than I initially knew, like even a few months ago, especially when I was working on the book. Aura items, to a degree, are really big, but especially the Randuin's Omen, a Locket of Iron Solari, if that's what you want, Shirelia's, those are big. Using those at the right time just changes the game. So if you want to add a couple extra abilities to what you're doing, then yes, that's what I would do. Yeah. You can know, I don't know. I don't want to give the bad advice because I'm a terrible support. When I play support, I like to get kills and I like to get CS. And so I mean, I only do that with people I know, but still. It's better to play jungle Trin. You know, I just realized the comments I'm reading are not the ones that I'm showing you guys because I don't have all this showing. Is Cat a good mid? Cat's a great mid, or pretty good mid, depends on who you're playing against. Jungle Trin, whatever. How do you feel about a split push Teemo? What is split push Teemo? What's the difference between split push Teemo and... Yeah. I don't know. Seems good.
It's when Teemo blows up and pushes a tower.
Well, yeah. So you're saying like Sivir or something. You're saying split push Teemo in the sense of like they're just not with the team very much. They are doing the mushrooming and all that stuff, but they're really just focusing on pushing a lane. Okay. I mean, okay. So split pushing as a strategy is a good thing to do. So if you can get away with it, it actually makes some sense on Teemo, but I don't think Teemo is as... I could be wrong. I don't think he's quite as good of a minion clearer as, say, a Varus or a Sivir or... trying to think of a couple others out there that can just clear everything. Graves, even. Well, what does he use? Like mushroom? My wife is actually telling me this. Like mushrooms? Or how does he clear a wave of minions? So, but he's still... Isn't that just one target at a time, though? Yeah, but Sivir just...
But he can keep everything mushrooms around him, so he knows...
Yeah. Alright. Yeah, well, that's... My wife's right. So yeah, it's split push Teemo. Okay, it makes sense. I want to play. Are you going to do a game today? I will not be doing a game today. I'm sorry. Oh, man. There are so many... We're going to have to figure this out. Thanks anyway. Path, the biggest thing you can do as a new range AD is practice your last hitting. Okay, that's Splug. Where is the actual 20-minute last... What? No. I gotta find questions in here, too. Who do you feel is the best non-traditional support bot? I'm a fan of Leona. I love Leona. But it's not that Leona is not a traditional support. It's that Leona is basically a tank. You can play her more supportish, but there's so much crossover there. Like, there really just is a lot of crossover. Supports and tanks both want cooldown reduction if they can get it. Supports and tanks generally both want Shirelias or Randuins or, whatever. They both want gold per 5. They're both going to struggle with farming in a lane. They both contribute something to their lane. So there's a lot of crossover between supports and tanks, but Leona really is a very strong tank initiator. I don't think she's non-traditional, but I get why you're calling it a non-traditional support, and I've seen other people refer to it that way. Because if you're talking strictly in terms of supports, yeah, Leona doesn't provide the healing, doesn't provide shielding, etc. But I think Leona's really good. Blitz can be pretty good too, as you guys I'm sure already know. He's recently been a lot more popular. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Leona, and I think she's really good to have bot. Great replacement for a true support. So for ranged AD, should I harass while last hitting? Yes and no. It depends on the champion you're playing, who you're going against, and what you're exposing yourself to when you're harassing. So, like, I'm trying to think of a good example. And if you're going to miss CS by virtue of harassing too much, or if you're going to miss too much CS by virtue of harassing, it depends. So the thing is, what you want to get used to in lane is when others are going to come and try to last hit a minion of yours. So you don't just want to watch your own minions and figure out what you're going to last hit. You want to see when they're actually going to come in and last hit one of your minions. That's big, because that gives you opportunities. The more you get used to that, that gives you more opportunities to actually get harassment on them. But the fact is, like, if you're going against a Caitlyn and you're playing I'm trying to think, like an Ashe maybe, aside from volley, Ashe isn't that bad. I'm trying to think. I know there's some short-ranged ADs. Like, I'm just trying to remember who is shorter than others. I think Vayne was pretty short. Graves is pretty short. Anyway, all I'm getting at is that, yeah, when there's a big range difference, or there's like an Alistar or a Taric sitting there ready to CC combo you, and your support or whatever isn't there and available to actually help you if you get caught, or to help you in a significant way if you get caught, or to just depending on who you are, it's harder to harass when they're trying to last hit. But anyway, you do want to get used to opportunities, and especially if you have range, or you're a champion like Ezreal and you can just take a pop shot of your Q or whatever at a long range when they're trying to last hit, because of the moment where they have to stand still to actually do their attack animation. So just watching for things like that is great. Let's see. That Leona Sivir game was hilarious when I watched. Yeah, that was a good game. We had fun with that game. That's the last game in yesterday's stream. If you want to see it. Yeah, it was a good game. I mean, that was just fun. So it is what it is, but it was fun. Hey, dude, I was just crazy positive with Darius a few times. And, oh, you know what? I think I have maintenance here, so I'm actually going to end the stream right now. So it's just, it's right when I'm supposed to end anyway. I will be back on tomorrow. Let me know on Facebook in the contest. Just respond to that contest thing and let me know how you enjoy it. Whether you like this format, whether it's something you want to keep seeing, whatever. So anyway, have a wonderful afternoon. I don't know. I'm going to look through all these comments you guys have left everywhere. So I don't know if I'll just start up with them tomorrow, or I have no idea what. Oh, tomorrow I'm not going to be streaming. That's right. I'm sorry. So, because I'm going to be down in Tacoma again, but that'll be the last time. So I will see you guys later. Have a wonderful afternoon, wonderful evening, wonderful morning, and whoa. Hey. He really is very cheerful. He just won't do it on camera.
He's been kissing. You want to kiss him?
Oh, he's distracted. Okay. I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for all the questions. I'll see what I can do about catching up on some of these questions somehow, but I'm not sure. Ask him again the next time I do this. Again, tomorrow I will not be streaming. I will have to learn the league out tomorrow, and then on Thursday I will for sure be streaming again. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will see you later.